What's up, guys? Welcome back, and today we are starting part 6 of my 400EX rebuild series. And the parts pile is slowly disappearing. It looks like a lot, but I took a pretty big chunk of it away. But for today's video, I think we're gonna wrap up the last in-depth project and go ahead and start on these front brakes. I've got a kit to rebuild the front master cylinder, and we're going to rebuild both front calipers, get them all buttoned up and cleaned up, and then we're finally getting back to the final assembly. It's getting close to riding season here in PA in 2025, so I'm ready to get this thing buttoned up and ready to enjoy the all the work I did. So we'll go ahead and get started. Alright guys, to go ahead and get this project started here, I'm going to start by popping this cap off and draining all the brake fluid so I can get the hoses off. I mean, there's going to be residual brake fluid dripping out of this, but I want to get these all separated into separate pieces. But a lot of the times these two screws on this cap are tight. Any master cylinder I've ran into, these two screws are always tight, so I went ahead and picked up this impact screwdriver set, which is actually pretty helpful in all kinds of different projects. But that being said, I'll go ahead and give these things a whack here and get them broke loose. I think I've seen that one break loose. And then, as you can see here, the culprit of the stuck bolts, they're pretty rusty. I'll probably go back and go ahead and order two sets of two more screws, just for the fact that they're pretty crappy. It's actually eating away at the threads. But we'll go ahead and get this brake fluid drained out, and then we can get everything separated here. Get the hoses off and work at it in smaller pieces. There, I'll get it and take the cap off here so you guys can see. And that thing there needs cleaned up as well. I'll hit it with some brake clean. It'll be good to go. Alright guys, now that we got them big gawky front brake lines off, we can start working on all the individual pieces. But I think for starters, I'm going to set these off to the side, and we will go ahead and start on the master cylinder, which I believe is fairly simple. A little bit of residual brake fluid in there. This thing actually, if you don't know if you can see it or not, but in the inside it's not too bad. There's like a little brown coating on the inside, but not bad at all. And this factory lever is going to be going away. I got some ASV levers going into it, but I think for starters we'll go ahead and get the lever popped off, and then we'll take out the internals and go ahead and get rebuilding this thing. To get this front master cylinder started, there's a rubber boot in here. Similar to the rear master cylinder, you got to go ahead and get started taking off. And I have a replacement, so I'm not too worried about ripping it. Alright, there's that. And that exposes your push rod and the snap ring down inside there. Which I'm going to be a little honest, I'm a little concerned that my snap ring pliers don't reach down in that far, but we'll do a little test run here. I ended up having to switch tips on my snap ring pliers and extend them, but I think I did have a hold of it. I can't see jack down in there. There's a snap ring. And there is the whole inner master cylinder assembly. Actually, pretty much the same as the rear master cylinder. I didn't really expect it to come out all as one piece either, but that works out good. So, that being said, this whole master cylinder, well, hold on. There's a rubber boot down in here. I'm not quite sure what that is. Alright, I had to pause for a second. I wasn't sure what this rubber boot is, but there is not a replacement piece for that in my kit, so I'm not going to bother pulling that out. I'm just going to hit it with some brake clean down inside here. And then I'm going to go ahead and throw it in my old parts washer bucket and get this thing all cleaned up, and we'll get ready to throw it all back together. Fairly simple rebuild. And we're back. I went ahead and cleaned up the master cylinder. It cleaned up pretty decent. It wasn't bad. It wasn't in bad shape to begin with, so that's cleaned up. The lever bolt, I got it shined up pretty good. Not that it matters. There's for the back side of the clamp and the bolts. I got them cleaned up as good as I could. And then the boot was all full. There was a bunch of junk down inside here. It was actually, when I took it off, the boot was pushed down inside the master cylinder, so I used a little bit of brake cleaning, got it cleaned up. Cleaned the cap up. Whoops. I just used a plastic brush for it, and then I cleaned the lid up pretty good. So that's all taken care of now. And with that being said, I will go ahead and go through my all balls kit. It is a master cylinder rebuild kit for the front, and as you can see here, it fits several different full wheeler models, but we'll go ahead and go through it here. I already took the sticker out, but it comes with a, sorry, can't see. It comes with a fresh snap ring, a new rubber boot. There's your spring. I said earlier about wanting to replace the cap bolts, but it has it comes with 2 of them new, which is nice. It comes with your crush washers, which I do not need. And I'm assuming because this fits several different models, these are different cap bolts, but we don't need them. And then there's your 2 boots, or rubber washers, whatever you want to call them, that go on this piece here. But that being said, these 2 pieces here need to be soaked in .4 fluid before assembling onto this. So I will go ahead and pop these out, throw them in some brake fluid, and then we'll go ahead and get started taking this thing apart. Alright, I had said earlier, taking this thing apart, I was kind of surprised that it all came out as one piece out of the master cylinder itself, but after looking at it a little bit further, I realized that it's the spring is actually attached to this, and I thought this was the cap that sat on here and just pressed against the flat side of this metal cylinder here. I don't know what it's called, but so that's a little bit different. But that being said, we'll go ahead and pop this boot off. That's pretty easy. And then go ahead and pop this boot off without stabbing myself. Normally I'd be a little more gentle, but I got replacement parts, so I really don't care. Alright. Now if those two pieces are off, this piece here I can hit with a shot of brake clean. I'm going to let these let the new ones soak a little bit longer, and then we'll go ahead and put it back together and get everything reinstalled, and we should be able to slide it all back together in the master cylinder. Alright guys, I ended up breaking out the manual because my dumbass took this thing apart and forgot to pay attention to which way the cups are faced on these. And while I was looking through the manual, it showed this this boot in here and these two holes in here. And once I realized it was just a rubber cap that kind of seals down in there, I went ahead and pulled it out and cleaned it, which I'm glad I did because it was very brown down inside there. So I just want to make a quick side note of that. This piece here will just pop back down in here then. I'll put it back together in a little bit. But my main priority is getting this thing put back together. So I'll go ahead and dig try to think which one I want here first. The smaller cup will go on this here, and the cup part of the O-ring should go back towards the spring. So I'll go ahead and slide it on. And they say to kind of dip it in brake fluid to lubricate it, sliding these down on so you don't damage anything. But I kind of give that a couple twists and make sure it's on there good. And then I'll take the brake fluid I have in my fingers and we'll go ahead and slide this cup on. I hate how tight these are. Alright, simple as that. And this piece here is ready to go. We'll go ahead and pop our new spring on. And that should be it for this. We'll go ahead and slide it back in the master cylinder. Once I get my hands cleaned off, we'll get the O-ring in, get the rubber boot on, and that should be about it. Before sliding this spring assembly in, I would take just a little bit of extra brake fluid and rub on the O-ring so it slides down in the master cylinder a little better. And this will go in spring first. Kind of work it back in there a little bit. And this is a tricky part here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to record this and... oh shit, that's what I was afraid of. Well, I apologize. I dropped the snap ring and lost it down inside my tool bench here. But I had a major dilemma trying to get these snap rings in, and to the point where I don't even know if I got the new snap ring in or the old snap ring. And I also didn't get it in recording, and I apologize for that. But if you can take notice of this here, my having to extend these little pins out on my snap ring pliers makes them pretty weak. And almost every time I tried to latch onto one of these to put it down inside this, they were shooting off. I mean, they were bouncing off the window, rolling across the garage. Well, I have no idea how in the hell I managed to keep track of both of them shooting across, but that was pretty frustrating. But the only thing I can tell you to do is to kind of take your thumb in this open spot here, push the piston down in, and then with your snap ring already locked into this and pinched as tight as you can. You might have better snap ring pliers than me. Just kind of shove everything down in there, and you should feel locked in place. But just to be sure, I took a long punch, and a small punch, and just kind of push the snap ring down in to make sure it was in the groove. But now that that's done, we can go ahead and move on. I'm going to go ahead and reinsert this little boot down inside that cup. But I'm going to take a little shot of brake fluid and put it around the outer ring of it, because that's what seals it. It's pretty dry anyway, because I hit it with brake cleaner. And if I remember correctly, the little open tab, or the little tab on this thing, if you can see it or not, I don't know. Yeah, you can see it. It goes towards the outside of the master cylinder. Good. Now that's pressed down in. That's all good to go. Now we can go ahead and get this boot on. Again, take a little shot of brake fluid and just put around here, just so it slides down in the master cylinder collar, alright. And then, well, I was just trying to get it on the inside here to slide it down on, but it's all over everything now. Then, you can go ahead and slide this down in. Take my small pick here. Once you get it locked into the groove on the upper part of this pin here, take something and make sure you push this the rest of the way down in the sleeve here, so it makes a nice seal. And try not to poke a hole in anything. There you be. Let's see how everything works. Everything's sealed up. And I believe that takes care of that. Go ahead and get this cap on, if I remember how it goes on correctly. Should be this part up here, this rubber boot down on here, and this should down on there. You can see the boot down first to make a seal, and then I'm trying to picture in my head which way this goes on the handlebars. I think this is correct. You can put your cap back on facing you as if you're sitting on the 400. On my dumb ass, put the screwdriver away. So I'll go ahead and get these started. Well, I couldn't really debate if I was gonna put the levers on yet or not, but I figured what's the purpose of holding them back now? I might as well just put them on. Well, I got the master cylinder in my hand, but I went ahead and got the clutch and the brake lever, so we'll hold the clutch off for now. But if somebody is curious about this, I went ahead and pulled it out of the box before I put it on. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, excuse me, but there is the brake lever itself, and this thing is pretty damn nice. You can customize these levers if you want short, full length. You can customize the color of these, and you can make the clutch handle match as well. It comes with two bushings that slide. One goes in the top, one goes in the bottom here, where your pin goes. I went ahead and got the boot that goes over top of everything. I figured why not, it was only a couple extra bucks. And then it comes with all new hardware to install it, which is nice because I cleaned this thing up and don't even need it. But alright, I'm going to go ahead and try and finagle all this together. Go ahead and get this bushing's already in. Go ahead and pop the two bushings in. Slide this in the master cylinder itself. Slide your dust boot on. This part's tricky. And go ahead and get this started. This wouldn't be as bad, but this boot here isn't exactly the greatest. We're back. I just did a test run. I don't know what the deal was. I don't know if there was a a little wicker on one of the threads down here, but this thing actually got tight, but I just forced it through and now it's loose. It's threading itself fine again. So now we can try and get this thing the rest of the way together. Oh, honey, you idiot. No wonder that boot wasn't fitting nice. I think I had it on wrong. Dumbass. Alright, I'm not quite sure when to stop threading, but everything's tight. Everything still moves, unless I made it a little bit too tight. But I'll go ahead and throw this nut on. I might work with it later, but there's that. That seems a little tight. I might have to mess with it, but I'll go ahead and throw this on. There you be. That completes the master cylinder rebuild of the front brakes. I think that'll be okay. It's not bad. Alright, now we'll go ahead and get started on the calipers. But I think just for recording purposes and the time of the YouTube video and me editing and everything, I'm just gonna rebuild one because it's gonna be identical to the other one minus stuff just being flipped, I guess. So let me go ahead and I'm gonna kind of look through the manual here and see what I need to do to get started. But I'll run a little refresher course for myself, and then we'll get the camera set up and we'll start on this. Alright, let's go ahead and get started on one of these front calipers. But I think for starters, I'm gonna go ahead and pop the pad pins out. It just has these flathead caps in there. Pull them out first. There is both of them. And then, I'm not sure what size they are, but there's Allen head bolts down in there. And of course I didn't grab that, so I think I'll go ahead and use my pick here and pop this cap off. And then that exposes the other Allen head cap, which looks awful. I'm hoping that comes out. That looks terrible. Let me go ahead and find the correct size. Okay. Oops. There's one. There's the other one. And then go ahead and pull the brake pads out. I'm assuming these are factory brake pads because they still have the Nissan or Nissan. That's not what they're called, but that's what it reminds me of. And they were they're actually getting pretty wore out, so glad I'm replacing them. And the previous owner said he rode it on his farm, which, as you can see, proves that. And then take out your little, there's another one of them little spring retaining clips down in there. Not a retaining clip, but it just keeps pressure on the pads. Go ahead and pop that out. It might not come out. Okay. There's that. I'm going to take a little shot of PB Blaster. Spray down in that. I'm imagining I'm not going to be able to crack this open by hand sitting here like this, but we'll try. Ain't no way. Alright. Let me see if I can get this crack loose and I'll be back. Well guys, it's been a little bit of time since my last recording here, working on the brake project, but I ended up having to switch to the right caliper. The left one, this bolt here, I heated it up and sprayed it, and it won't come out. I ended up, this whole head in here stripped is completely rounded. There's nothing else I can do to it now. I ended up ripping this boot off the same way I did this one, and you can just see that there's this slide pin in here must just be completely corroded to the caliper. And I'm pretty much shit out of luck on that one, but as you can see here, I heated this one up to the point where the brake fluid inside was literally boiling out of the hole here. So I got this one loose. It's back the whole way out of the bracket, but now I still got to get the pin out the whole way. But I figure I can make a little bit of progress here and hopefully get one caliper rebuilt for you guys to at least get one goal in for the evening. But there's your mounting bracket out of the way. Now I gotta try and pull this out real quick. There's that clip out of the way. I guess I can try and use a punch or something and push this side. I'm actually really disappointed because a new caliper is roughly $200 OEM. And there's some on eBay for pretty cheap, but I'm kind of scared to waste money and buy somebody else's junk because I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of the calipers on there look like garbage compared to this one even. So for me to spend 50 bucks on a used OEM caliper off somebody else, the Lord knows how long it's been since they've been serviced or ever been serviced, is kind of a waste of money to me. I mean, I guess the fact that these are still factory pads when this should have been a dead giveaway, that these things have literally never been worked on. So I'm going to go ahead and get a punch and see if I can push this pin out the rest of the way, and then we'll continue on with this. Well, I'm back for another update. It took a little bit longer. I got the pin beat out. All I did was I just stuck a chisel in the end of it and pounded it out. And of course, I just nicked the edge of the thread, and I went back and checked it, and it would not thread back in the mounting brackets. So I had to get a thread chaser. I think it's M8 1.25 for this, if anybody happens to run into this. But I chased it. It threads back down in there good now, so that's all good to go finally. I pulled this boot out. It's simple, just shove in on the flimsy end and pull out on the thick end here. It pops right out of there. And if you can see down inside this collar, it's just pure rust. These things, they have needed grease since the resurrection of Christ himself. So I'm assuming I know for sure that's what happened to the other one. I mean, it must just be completely just rusted tight in that collar. So I'm down a brake caliper. I guess all in all, after all the work I've done to this thing, it's not too bad. But I got the air compressor right here. I'm going to try and blow this. Where the hell is the hole at? Up here. I'm going to try and blow this piston out of here. I like to tuck a rag in. Let me spin it around here. Tuck a rag in there, just so if that thing goes shooting at it doesn't damage the piston. But I'm hoping this works, if you guys can see it. Holy shit! And that's exactly what I meant. Holy fuck, that scared me. Excuse my language. I did the rear brake caliper and it just kind of like fell out. This one shot out. Damn. Alright, like the last one, I got the rag stuck, so I'll go ahead and get the rag out of the way, and this thing should be disassembled as far as I need to be, minus some O-rings, but I'll be back. I got the piston out. I ended up hitting it with some brake clean because it was, I mean, literal mud and junk caked in the backside of this. But I don't. If somebody watches this and has done this before, knows anything about this, are these caps supposed to come off? Is this some kind of adhesive that's just not adhesive anymore? As soon as I picked this pin up, I could tell the cap was falling off. So I don't know if I need a new piston. I don't know if I should be gluing these down with adhesive. I have no idea. I think I'm gonna leave that one alone and see what happens. I glued the rear one, but there's 2 O-rings left here, I believe, and that, as far as disassembling goes, that should be it. I don't know if somebody serviced the rear brake on them or they just don't see as much abuse as the front ones do, but these front brakes are way worse than what the rear one was. Sorry, I'm kind of blocking the light. I mean, even the O-rings are stuck. There it goes. And there's the bigger one. But that being said, guys, this, minus the bleeder valve, I'll pop it out. It's just a 8mm, I believe, or something like that. But I'll go ahead and pop it and get it out of the way. And then, I don't know if you guys can see the junk that's down inside that piston, but I mean, it looks like mud. I guess it's just old brake fluid and junk that got in there. But I'll go ahead and clean these things up, and we'll go ahead and get it ready to put back together again. I don't exactly need this anymore, but I just wanted to give you guys an unboxing, I guess, of the front caliper rebuild kit from All Balls, just so if you guys decide to order this kit and want to tackle this project, you guys know what's in there. Of course, you got the cool sticker. This is one of the cool ones too. Most of them are just big ovals now, so this one's my favorite All Balls racing sticker. But it comes with the bleeder valve cap. It comes with 2 brand new slide pins, so you don't have to worry about reusing them. It comes with a new boot. That's the slider pin on the bracket slides through. 2 brand new O-rings, of course. The backing boot on the slide pin itself, the big one. It comes with the cap that goes over the slide pin, and 2 crush washers. Which, if you're doing the route like me and ordered a new braided brake line, you will not need these, but they are good just to keep in hand, just in case. Well, guys, it's been a couple days since I started this front brake rebuild, and as you've seen, I got the master cylinder done. But unfortunately, I have no good news. I thought I was doing pretty good. Got this thing all cleaned up. Well, I got all the parts cleaned up, but as you can see here, I put a pretty good ding in this thing where the O-ring goes, and I believe it even cracked down inside the caliper housing. But I was getting ready to put this thing back together, and I noticed there was a collar sticking out of this sleeve right here where the slide pin goes. I really didn't think anything of it, but when I got to putting the boot on that goes in here, I realized, or the boot that goes on in here, I realized that something was off. And there's a collar in here. It's made of real soft metal. I tried all I could to beat it back down in real gently, and unfortunately the metal is just too soft, and it has it so messed up that the slide pin won't even go back down in it now. So this thing's junk. I did that crack. I'd hit it just kind of laying on top of the vise trying to tap this collar back down in. So that's pretty much a wrap for the front calipers. Unfortunately, I tried all I could to get you guys a video. This was the last in-depth video I want to do as far as rebuilding things on the 400, and it didn't work. I'm pretty bummed out about it, and you could probably hear it in my voice Friday night when I was working on it. I was just bummed out. Sorry about my face. I just realized how dirty I am. I just got back from work, but I guess if you really want any pointers, all you really need to do is get some DOT 4 brake fluid, soak your piston in it before sliding it back in, soak your O-rings before popping them back in the caliper, and maybe just take a little bit and slide on the sleeve inside here. And then as far as your brake parts lubricant goes, I would suggest soaking these things, not soaking, but just putting a cover on these for when your pads slide back and forth on them. And definitely, as you can see from the outcome of these two calipers, make sure you put some grease on these slide pins. And if you're watching this video, I would suggest that you just go checking your calipers to see if yours comes loose or they have any movement in them, because mine were not touched in the 23 years that it's been made, so it's junk. These both calipers are junk. Unfortunately, I can't do anything with them now. I heated this one. I heated this bolt here up again to try and pop it out, and it's completely stripped. And rather than me try and screw with it, I had to bite the bullet and spend about $500 ordering OEM calipers. So I guess that's a wrap for this video, guys. Again, I'm sorry. I tried all I could. I really wanted to get this last video in for you guys as far as doing rebuilds on it. So I don't know. I gave you guys some tips if you really needed any, if you were curious. That's my 2 cents as far as rebuilding these. So thanks for watching. I guess on the next one we'll get this 400 assembled and get the rest of these parts on it and be ready for riding season. So again, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.